Do you have to choose religion? And if you choose one, how do you know which one to choose? Stay tuned to find out. This is a question that was sent to us and asked, does one have to choose a religion? And if so, how do you figure out which one to go with? For me, I was raised Catholic, but I got to a point in my life where I had questions that were not being answered and no one could really help me. So I started searching outside of the faith that I grew up with, the religion of the Catholic faith. And I started to learn more about different religions, and as I did that, it helped solidify why I was a Catholic. But there are many individuals who don't really have a solid upbringing in any religion, but they feel a need to be in touch with a religion or somehow learn about God. So let's start talking about how does one really go about finding a religion to work with?
Well, how about if we start by answering the first question?
Okay.
Do you have to choose a religion? That's the first question.
You're right, that is the first question. Do you have to choose one? My personal opinion, no.
Oh, why is that? You're Catholic.
Yes, I know.
So why would you say no?
Because I believe anyone who's truly searching, and I've come across many individuals who've done this in their lives, who were not raised with any kind of religion or knowing of God, they've somehow just learned about different paths of spirituality, whether it be Hindu, Buddhism, Zoroastrian, or the Christianity, whatever it is. They just learn a little bit about each one, and whatever makes sense to them, they've been using until they get to a point where they feel that they need to delve further into one or the other.
So that's your experience in dealing with people? Is that your
Some
experience
people.
in dealing with individuals that are now part of the 190 Vision community?
No, even people that aren't a part of the 190 Vision community.
Oh, okay.
This is individuals just out there who are on their path, and they feel that what they're doing is helping them on a spiritual level.
Okay.
To communicate with a higher being, the universe, God, the source, whatever they want to call it.
But it's not a religion.
It's not a religion.
Okay.
It's just spirituality.
Got it. Right, because there's a difference between a religion and spirituality. Right? Do we have a video about that?
I think we do.
Right. You might want to link that here.
Okay.
If it's out there. Now, you said that there was a point where you were searching for answers. And I don't know if it's accurate to say, I just want to clarify this, to say that nobody could help you. Right? Because of course you didn't go to everybody.
I didn't go to everybody, but the individuals that I went to couldn't really answer the questions so that they made sense to me.
Okay, but then you said you went searching, but then it just confirmed for you why you should be Catholic. So what was it that confirmed that for you? And then what were these kind of questions you had anyway?
Well, this is before the teachings. This is before the teachings, of course, before learning about the teachings of God.
Okay.
When I would go to other religions and say, for instance, like the Hindu faith, I started to learn about the Hindu faith, and they had all these gods.
Right.
And the statues of their gods, like Ganesh, who's got an elephant head but a human body, or Lord Shiva, who's got a blue body and all these arms coming out of his body. It's just things like that. I'm like, okay, this is really different than what I learned. Some of the concepts make sense, but it's really, you can't have all those many gods. There is only one God.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying when it made me feel like I had a stronger connection through my Catholic faith because of what I was taught. Because I didn't believe in those other things until I started to learn the teachings, and I'm like, oh, that's how it makes sense. Gods are the same thing as saints in the Catholic Church. Oh, that makes so much sense now. So.
Well, how do you explain somebody with an elephant head?
I don't remember the story of why they put the elephant head on Ganesh, But
You understand that?
I understand it now.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
It's more, what is that word, metaphorical?
Right.
So, yes, I get it now.
So in the past, when you used to think that as long as you're not a Catholic, you will go to you know where,
Yes,
that has changed now.
drastically.
And I asked that because, of course, I know. Now, what made that change?
Because I just felt deep down inside, and this is a question that a good friend of mine asked me shortly after we had both graduated high school, was, why do you believe everything the Catholic Church says and what the Pope says? They condemn people, they judge people. And I'm like, yes, but those people are doing wrong. That's how I saw it. And she said, well, how could all those people be wrong? I forgot the percentage of how many people in the world were Catholic at that time. And when she said the percentage, I thought, holy cow, what happened to all the rest of the world? I mean, that's more than like 60, 70% of the world population.
That wasn't Catholic.
That wasn't Catholic.
Right.
It was like, boom, light bulbs or fireworks. Something went off in my head and said,
Or possessions.
yeah, there you go, possessions.
The dark force came in.
So that's what started the whole quest of getting answers, finding out these different things. And so, what I was told from the priests, okay, didn't really make sense, but that's why I was supposed to go out there and preach to people and try to bring them to the Catholic Church, because they all need to be saved. And I thought, well, all these other religions think that we need to be saved too. So how can we all be feeling that everybody needs to be saved, but we're not help save one another? We're just condemning each other and
Right.
judging each other.
And even in the Catholic Church itself, we have groups, which we've experienced.
Yes.
We have groups within the Catholic Church condemning other groups within the Catholic Church, calling them that they're no good and
Yes.
they fight against the Vatican and all that. And these are different groups within the Catholic Church.
Yes.
Now we say this, folks, because we're Catholic, and if you notice, we're still Catholic, despite knowing all that.
Right.
It's not about the human behavior. It's about the teachings that come from the Ascended Masters, including Jesus. And we have to learn to love unconditionally and not to judge.
Right.
Whenever someone tells you that they're going to pray for you because they're worried about you, just know that they're judging you already. That's why they think that they need to pray for you. So you thank them and you move on, because you know that the love of God is unconditional. It doesn't judge, and you shouldn't judge either. Now, why do we go through all this?
Yes.
Because it goes back to the question of, do you have to choose a religion?
Oh,
We've
right.
had many individuals that have come to 190 Vision, and they come in search of peace, right? The spiritual calm. And as they get exposed to the teachings of the Ascended Masters, which are nothing but the teachings, like the mother teachings, like the original teachings that each church has taken a portion of,
Right.
right? We talk about the teachings, and then the Catholic Church takes a portion of it, the portion related just to Jesus,
Right.
In the life of Jesus. If you go to the Jews, what they've done is they've taken the part prior to Jesus. Then there's some
Abraham.
Jews that have taken Abraham plus Jesus, right?
Right.
They have a different name. I think they're called like Jews for Jesus or something like that.
Something like that.
Right. So all of a sudden, if you notice, all of a sudden there are labels for everything.
Right.
The Hindus have taken that portion of the teachings that Ganesh, that Krishna taught, right? But that still came from the teachings itself, the original teachings.
Right.
Buddha took a portion of the teachings that he taught, and then they called that Buddhism because they chose to follow Buddha.
Right.
All right. So what every group has done is this: they said, well, the prophet for us is so and so. Like for us Christians, we said the real prophet is Jesus.
Right.
So then, as Jesus Christ, so that they call themselves Christians. I don't call myself a Christian. I don't know if you call yourself a Christian, but I call myself a son of God. But they put that label on themselves that, okay, they're Christians because they're followers of the teachings of Jesus. Well, the thing is, Jesus taught more than what is in the Bible.
Yes.
But they've streamlined it to just what's in there. Because Jesus taught the entire teaching itself. All the Ascended Masters, who were the prophets, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Buddha, whether it's Krishna, whether it's Muhammad, they all taught more than what's in those what we call each
Their texts.
their text, right? The books that book knowledge for each religion.
Right.
Okay. However, people decided, well, I like what Muhammad teaches, so I'm going to adapt that way of life. So then they consider themselves a Muslim. People that prefer the teaching of Jesus, they say, well, I'm Christian. I love what Jesus teaches or taught, and I'm going to adopt that as my way of life. So they become Christians. The thing is, within the Christian faith, there's so many denominations.
Yes, because
I don't see some. Buddhism doesn't have that many. Hinduism.
But they do
doesn't
have
that many.
some.
They do have some, but
Right.
as I said, not that many.
not as many as Christianity.
Right. Hinduism, they definitely don't have that many.
Right.
Judaism they don't have that many. But boy, Christianity.
They have a
Whoa.
lot of breakoffs
Exactly.
because of people who've taught one portion or another, and people identify with that and interpreted the Bible this way instead of that way.
Okay, so you see now,
It's-
so
yes.
here now they've taken the teachings of Jesus because that's how it's identified.
Yes.
The teaching of Jesus and said, well, I don't agree with this, but no, let me
It's
correct
not that they don't
I've
agree with this.
No, hold it. It's not even that. Let me correct that. I've just been told to correct that.
Okay.
It's not the teaching of Jesus, by the way,
Okay.
that they disagree with. It's what the Catholic Church tried to implement as far as telling them how they're supposed to live and how they're supposed to do certain things that they disagree with. And that's why they broke off from the church. It's not the teaching of Jesus. So I
Got
just
it.
realized that, exactly.
Got it.
So they're still following the teaching of Jesus, but the way they interpret it is different than how the Catholic Church wants them to interpret it. And because of the Catholic Church says, you're not a Catholic, so okay, fine, I'll go start my own church.
See, now that brings me to memory of in high school, I did a kind of a report on religion, and it was on Christianity, because my teacher said, go back to the very first Christian faith. What was it? And my dad pulled out this giant chart that he already had printed, so I didn't have to do a whole lot of work. And on there, it showed the Catholic Church was first, and then it showed the first breakoff, and who it was, and why.
Right.
And then the next one, the next one, the next one, and there was like over 100 of them.
But if you notice, if you go back and you pay attention to why they broke off, it wasn't because of the teachings.
No.
It was because of the traditions of the church.
Right, the culture that the church was establishing.
Exactly. Now, we say all that because do you have to choose a religion? It's up to you.
Right?
Do you want to be tied to a certain culture or tradition? Right? Or do you want to live according to certain spiritual standards or core values?
Right.
If you're talking about living according to certain spiritual core values, then it's hard to be tied down to a church because each church have traditions tied in. They interweave the spiritual values, the spiritual teachings of Jesus with their own ideas of what things should be like.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you decide that you want to be part of a religious group, know that. Then the time might come that you don't agree with that any longer. Now what? You're going to leave now and go somewhere else and see that, okay, I prefer the way they do things.
Right.
Everybody says what? It's the way they do things.
Yes.
It's not the teaching itself. It's the way they do things.
And individuals who've changed religions, who we've talked with, have said, I'm just not getting any more out of the current church. And then they go somewhere else and, oh yes, I'm learning so much more now. So to me, it's also, they've reached a level of where they want to learn more and understand more. And
It's level
understand
understanding.
it. Yes, level of understanding, to hear it differently, to understand it in a deeper way.
We've been told by the Zen Masters that the Bible itself, just the Bible as it's known, has 33 different levels of understanding. Okay? And if anybody studies masonry, things like that, there are 33 levels of degrees. So that's that. Because keep in mind that even masonry, that was started by, or that group was taught by Saint Germain. All right? So you can see the ties to the Zen Masters, that they tried to get the knowledge out in any way they could.
Right.
Of course, then it was always embellished, right? Just like anything else.
Yes.
Just like the religions now, how they get embellished.
Right, the human element kicks
That's
in,
correct.
and then people do their
Pride
own
and
thing.
everything, that's correct.
Right.
So as each person's spiritual growth occurs, then of course they want more. Just like you wanted more answers.
Yes.
And the answers you've been given weren't enough. It just so happens that you were exposed to the teachings, and the teachings taught you that just because you don't get the answers from your religion doesn't mean it's a bad religion.
Right.
And then what does the teaching do? It shows you, explains to you the shortcomings of your religion. So now, instead of turning against your church, you get to understand it better and then you embrace it because you know why they do the things that they do.
Right.
We don't look down on the Catholic Church. We understand why they do certain things. Why is it all of a sudden, years ago, right, they wouldn't allow women to give communion or women to give a mass, right? And all of a sudden now I've been hearing about they're allowing things like that.
Right, they're allowing female priests and female altar servers, and since I was a kid though, they've always had women who've been ordained in a way, I don't know if that's the right word, but blessed in some way where they can give out the Holy Communion.
But they couldn't give service.
They couldn't give a service, no.
So think about it. Years ago they couldn't do that.
Right.
Now they can. So does that tell you what changed in the Bible or in the teaching of Jesus that says that all of a sudden now women can preach?
Nothing has
Nothing.
changed. It's man who's changed.
Exactly. Okay? Their culture has changed, their tradition has changed, and then people have then adapted to it. And that's why when you and I, look at our Catholic faith, we know that it's work in progress. So we don't get upset about that. Now they get upset at us saying we're not true Catholics.
Right.
But if they were just to back up and look a few years, they would have seen that, oh wow, certain things were actually called blasphemous back then. Imagine us 20 years ago if we were talking and saying, no, they should actually allow women to preach. They'd be like, you're not a good Catholic. How could you say that? The Pope said no to that. Well, the Pope is not Jesus.
Right.
Now he represents the church, but the teachings tell us that everybody is an equal. Mary Magdalene preached. They don't put that in the Bible, but we know she preached because they said the Master told us that. Jesus told us that. You know, now other people will watch this and get upset about that, but she preached, all right? And she taught, and she was very powerful. Mother Mary was very powerful. She taught, all right? People respected her because she was so knowledgeable. You know, talk about that. You know, and so people think that women were weak back then. No, they weren't. They were very knowledgeable, they were very active in the community and in the church. And that's what we want to get through to everybody. So we go back to the question, do you have to choose a religion? No. You don't have to. You decide if you want to, but it's not a must. However, you can still have that, you can still develop that great relationship with God because it's a spiritual relationship.
Right.
And spirituality is not tied to a church. All right. If you look at if you read the Gospel of Thomas, which some people tell you don't read that because it's not in the Bible, but here's one of the most doubting disciples writing something. Why do you want to listen to him?
Right.
Yeah, those are the ones that normally send the real message because once they get proof, you can't deny them from telling the truth. And he says the whole thing starts out by saying what? The temple of God is within you. Pretty much what we're saying is you don't have to go into a place, a building with walls and stuff. Start from within you, you know? So if someone knows that, then they can foster that relationship with God from a spiritual level. Now, how do you go about choosing one if you want to?
Yes.
Then that comes back to you will have to find out as you go to different places what resonates with you, right? And not the traditions,
No.
because those will change, and when those change, you might get mad. You know, soon, like right now, the Catholic Church, you know, they had a big thing against gay people, right?
They did. Then they started to embrace them, and now it seems like they're going against them again.
But you see that? It was a big deal. You can't be gay and be Catholic. Okay?
Right.
All of a sudden, oh, it's okay now. You're welcome to be gay. You know, why would you not allow gay people to come to church and worship? It's a place of worship. God didn't say leave out certain people, right?
That's right. He didn't say to judge.
Exactly, right? So now, like, I didn't even know they had turned the other way again. I don't know about that part, but I just knew
Right,
that
recently
they
from
opened
what
the
I've been
door.
reading, church group, I don't know if it's just certain groups or the whole church, but yes, they're closing doors to that again.
But you notice that? But not too long ago, it wasn't allowed. So then here all the Catholic people turn against gay people. Then all of a sudden, they said, oh, they should be coming to church. They're human beings too, just like us. Now what do you do now as a Catholic? You were hating them before, and because the church said that it's okay, now you let them in? Well, you should have been nice to them in the first place because they're human beings.
That's right.
Just like you. They were created by God, and they have the same image of God that you have. And there's no reason why we should be judging anybody just because we think they're different and we don't agree with their choices. That's their choice.
That's right.
And so those are the things that we should be aware of as we go on our journey as spiritual beings. That as spiritual beings, we don't judge. We have unconditional love. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how you behave, because all of us are made in the image of God. We're all perfect.
So then, as far as deciding on which religion to become a part of, it goes back to what resonates, the core values that we were just speaking about that resonate with you, that
But
you
from the spiritual standpoint.
Yes, from
not
the
from the
spiritual
cultural
standpoint.
or from.
Not from their traditions
Exactly.
and their whatever they might do as far as a group goes. It's what is the core teaching that's there.
That's correct. And that's what's very important. And we have videos you could watch about that. There are a lot of individuals that have turned to us and asked us, what religion should I join, right? We're like, that's up to you. We're not here to convert anybody to be Catholics. That's not the mission of 190 Vision. Our mission is to help you become the best you with the help of the Ascended Masters, which includes Jesus. Some people don't like when we say Ascended Masters and Jesus is included. It's like Jesus is this exclusive spiritual being.
Yes.
They're all exclusive spiritual beings, every one of them. Whether it's Buddha, whether it's Muhammad, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Moses, they're exclusive because they've all ascended. And they have a lot of things to teach us. So please understand that this is nothing against any church, any religion. As a matter of fact, it's to show everyone that we should embrace every religion, right? And every leader of that, or prophet as they call them, of that religion. That prophet, that person you call a prophet, that's an Ascended Master, according to the teachings. That's it.
Right, and all of them will teach you how to develop your relationship with God again and to get as close to God as possible.
If they're not judging.
Right.
If they're judging, then...
Well, I'm talking about the Ascended Masters.
Oh, God. Well,
I'm not talking about the religions.
Yeah. But with the religions, be careful because many people will judge because they'll try to convince you that theirs is the best. And there's no such thing. All right? God's teaching teaches us that we're all the same level. All right? And just because someone chooses one prophet or Ascended Master over the other doesn't make that group better than the other one at all. Surprise to the folks that think so, but the fact is that no religion is better than the other one. All the Ascended Masters came here to teach us love, unconditional love. And somehow we have twisted that to kind of try to benefit from it and make it seem like ours is the best. There should be no competition.
Okay. I think that about covers it. If you have any more questions or concerns, you want to leave a comment, please do so. Remember to subscribe and like this video. Join the Facebook group 190 Vision to connect with others on the same journey. Get help by visiting our website 190vision.com. Support the 190 Vision mission by clicking on the donate button, which is at the bottom of each page of our website.